But let's say it was Sukkot and Shabbos Sukkot. When it was Shabbos coincided with any one of the Shalosh Regalim,
don't eat it.
Then what? Then everyone got to share the lechem upon him. Is that clear, Chavra? Yesterday we spoke out that when the groups only were able to share karbanos. The groups were only able to share karbanos. We said that on the Shalosh Regalim, every group was able to come and partake in the karbanos of the Shalosh Regalim. One add-on is that they also got to have the lechem upon him. Although lechem upon him is not exclusive to Shalosh Regalim, it's a Shabbos. It's a Shabbos. But they were doing that avodah, they also got to have the lechem upon him. The Gemara today is going to discuss how do we know that on Yom Tovim, that on Sukkot, on Pesach, on Shavuos, all the groups got to partake not just in the karbanos that we discussed yesterday, but they even got to partake in the lechem upon him. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan. Excuse me, Bechilik lechem upon him, 2 lines up from the bottom, the end. If something's not clear, Rabbi say, don't feel bad stopping me, or just tell me, because I want to make sure that it's clear step by step. Ubechilik lechem upon him, the Kahanim, there's a quote from the Mishnah, the Kahanim got to split up the lechem upon him. Tanu Rabbanon. Minayin, how do you know, Shekol HaMishmares, that all the groups, Shavos, are equal, or they have equal share? Bechilik lechem upon him, in the division of the lechem upon him. Talmud Loimar, klar. Talmud Loimar, the pasuk says, I wrote on top of my Gemara, by Shalosh Regalim. The pasuk says by Shalosh Regalim. Chelik kechelek, yechelu. You see this pasuk? Those 3 words go in quotes. Chelik kechelek yechelu, which means like the chelik they eat. What does that mean? We're comparing one chelik to another chelik, one portion to another portion. And now you can make a dash, the Gemara explains. Kechelik avoida. Just like the avoida is equal, right? Kechelik avoida. If you're able to jot it, like just write a few things in here, just for chazorah purposes, it's super helpful. Kechelik avoida. Just like avoida is equal, kach chelik achila. So too, the eating is equal. Period.
Equal to what we learned yesterday.
Oh, just 1 second.
Equal to what?
That they have equal share. Just like the avoida is equal among right is equal. So too, the eating is equal. The Gemara wants to know. I know, Rameir. This the Gemara is going to address right away. Umayachila. Which eating are we referring to? We're saying that the eating is equal. Mayachila, which eating? Make a dash. Ilemar karbanais. If you're talking about the general eating of the karbanais of Yom Tiv. Mehasam nafka. We learned it from a pasuk that Rashi mentioned yesterday. It says la koyin hamakriv oisa. Whichever kind brings it, loisia.
Should be to him.
He eats it, exactly. So we know that the karbanos, the kahanim eat. So what is this pasuk? This pasuk is coming to allow kahanim to have another achila. It can't be Shmuel, the achila of karbanos, because that we learn as the Gemara says from the pasuk on the 3rd line, la koyin hamakra v'isa, any kind that brings it, loisia. So if loisia. Yesterday we learned that we have a pasuk Shmuel that says any kohen can come bring the karbanos on. Yesterday we learned that any kohen can bring the karbanos on Sukkot or Yom Tov Regalim, and the pasuk which we just quoted taught us that if you bring it, you eat it. See, like kohen hamakavaisa. If you bring it, loisia, it's for you.
It's for you, or it has to eat?
No, loisia, you could eat it. So 1 second. So if we're learning, look at this, Chavra. If we're learning that the kohen who bring that are regular carbon from this pasuk, so Ella rather lechem upon him. Period. This pasuk is coming to include the lechem upon him.
But even though not all the kahanim can do the lechem upon him.
Beautiful. 1 second.
When did they give the new one? On Sunday? When did they do
You're saying amazing. 1 second. Hold on.
You switch it out?
Hold on 1 second. You're saying Gavaldik. I underline what you're saying. Look 1 second. I underline what you're saying. 1 second. Hold on. Look at the last wide line of Rashi. No, the second to last wide line. El alechem apanim. It's the ribuye. We have to include it. Why? She'ein bo shum avodas lechem. This doesn't have any avodah involved because avodah was done the previous Shabbos. On this Shabbos, it's only the distribution of the bread. Right now on Yom Tov, Baruch, they're only distributing the bread.
You're saying that by the Karbanis, the only reason they're getting food is because they're
beautiful. By the Karbanis, they're doing the avodah. They eat the carbon. That we know. But how do you know to include something else? You need a special pasuk to include something which they didn't do any avodah for. They didn't do anything. They just showed up the Shabbos and they get to partake in the lechem upon him. Says Rashi. You had the avodah done from the previous Shabbos, Avrami. That's what you're pointing out. So the Gemara is saying it's coming to include the lechem upon him. Beautiful. So says the Gemara, Yochel, you might think, okay, so right now, how do I know the lechem upon him is included? Because it says chelik yechelu. Chelik yechelu. Just like they get an equal share in the working, they get an equal share in eating. It can't be referring to the general karbanis, because that we learned from the pasuk of Lakayin. So it's coming to include a different eating of the lechem upon him. Says the Gemara. So 1 second, how far do you go with this? Maybe if it's coming to include eating, it should include all types of eating, even karbanis that are not Yom Tov related, the typical karbanis that are brought of the day. Yochol, you might think af b'chayvos. Even the obligations, the kabbanis, habois that come, shaloi machmas haregel, beregel, that come not for Yom Tov, but they come beregel on the Yom Tov, which would be the typical carbon tamid, the typical karbanis, which are brought daily. Tamid loimer.
They still brought all these karbanis on Yom Tov.
Every day. You brought. Remember, we had how many? The 28 last from the carbon tamid. Beautiful. So tamid loimer.
The same din for all the other karbanis that the Kohen Shechter gets it.
Yeah. For that shift.
No, so
Talmud Loimer.
What did he get from that carbon?
What do you mean from that carbon? No, you might think. I hear what you're saying. You're saying good. He does do the avodah there, so why should he? I hear. It's an interesting ha'ara where you're saying that being that he doesn't do the work of those karbanos, maybe over here this pasuk should be telling you they get to partake in the eating or get to partake in the avodah. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to say some teretz that maybe that's what we're going to learn from this pasuk. You're saying interesting. Talmud Loimer, we have a pasuk that says levad, except. You ready? I would add before the word levad, they eat or they can eat levad, excluding
levad means like just them.
Levad, aside. No, levad means aside, right? Or I'm using the word excluding just because in this context, levad means not. So they get to eat. They eat levad aside or excluding mimkarov ala avos. End of quote. Mimkarov ala avos means what their fathers sold to each other. 1 second. Look at this, Rabbi Sai.
So what is that?
Now I wrote a footnote on the side. Avos. It's a helpful footnote. Avos means the earliest kohanim. The earliest groups of Kohanim. That's a good word. Earliest groups of Kohanim.
That went that day.
The earliest ones from when the groups were instituted in the time of David HaMelech. The Gemara in Taanis says that David started the division. These 24 groups. Those groups made an agreement. They sold to each other something. What did they sell to each other? What was the agreement? Says the Gemara. Ma machru avos zelazeh. What did the early groups sell to each other? Or the early kohanim sell to each other? Make a dash. Ani b'shabasi. I get my week. V'ata b'shabatcha. And you eat from your week.
About what? Of what?
So, meaning you eat the kabbanas of your week, I eat the kabbanas of my week.
Why did they have to make a whole thing for this?
Wait, so 1 second. This is where, 1 second, listen to this. So the pasuk is levad. They get to eat levad except from what they cannot eat they only get to eat these special kabbanis, levad, except for the kabbanis which they sold to each other. What did they sell to each other? The typical rights of that week. So they only get to eat these special kabbanis of the day. Levad, except for the kabbanis that they sold to each other, Amir. What did they sell to each other? The typical kabbanis. I work on my week. I do my carbon talmud of that week.
Does that mean they sold their?
It means that what was the original agreement when they formed groups? They negotiated. They're calling it sold because it's kind of an exchange over here. When we made the 24 groups, and we were the original 24 groups, we sat in a room. We said, how are we going to do? How are we going to divide this? So I said, Mayor, you're going to get week 1, and I get you get your week's carbonis. When people bring carbonis and your shift, you get to eat those. He gets to eat his. He gets to eat his, and he gets to eat his. So this pasuk says, Levad, except from those kabbanis, this is what you get to eat. You only get to eat the kabbanis of Yom Tif, excluding
exclude all other
the typical kabbanis. Is that clear? So the Gemara began by saying we learned from the word chelik that you get to eat the lechem upon him. So the Gemara says maybe chelik is coming to include new karbanis. I mean the typical karbanis. That if you're working in the base of Mikdash on Sukkot, even though it's not your week, but you're able to work there, you can eat. You can take the carbon talmud.
We already have a pasuk for that.
Levad. No, but
talking about karbanis, we already learned that.
No, we learned that the karbanis of Yom Tov you get to eat. But maybe now chelik is coming to include even karbanis which you don't really have a share in, like which ones?
They're the regular
kabbanis. Says the Gemara Levad, except for those kabbanis. I mean, you don't have a share in those kabbanis. Rafal, is that good? Yeah, it's good. Shmuel, is it good? So the Gemara, Rabbi side, the Gemara goes on now and says, look at this. This Rabbi says a very, very gishmaka Gemara, and you have to just realize, Rabbi side, that you're holding the last page in your hand. How much is the last page? And
it's gonna be easy.
And
it's either the easiest down or the hardest
time that show up.
I looked on the Shiloh today. I couldn't find it in the chart.
Remember that?
See this?
What?
What are you saying?
The last was a Geshmaka story.
Yeah.
In the Russia, I think. Yeah.
Is that over here, Tak?
In the Russia, Shkena.
Yes.
Basbilgo.
Yes. Okay, so you ready, Chevra? Look at this Gemara, by say. This is a very interesting Gemara, and the Gemara now starts off. It says, "Ba'atzeres on Shavuos." We said yesterday that on Shavuos you brought two different types of bread. If Shavuos fell out on Shabbos, if Shabbos and Shavuos coincided, you brought 2 types of bread. You know you brought them, Shmuel? On Shabbos you brought the typical lechem upon him. On Shavuos you had additional breads called the Shtei HaLechem.
This is after.
On Shavuos you had to bring 2 karbanis of new grain called the Shtei HaLechem.
After Eimer is brought, right?
Yes. The Eimer was on Pesach. And now on Pesach you bring barley, and now on Shavuos you bring wheat. You bring wheat. You ready, Chavro? You ready? Yehuda, you ready, Yehuda?
I'm ready.
You ready? You gotta give a focus here. Rabbi say new Gemara. The Rabbi say this Gemara is very interesting. Itmar. Rav Omar Rav says Sukkah, and right on top of it, first say Leishev. Sukkah means the bracha of Sukkah. If you're sitting in your Sukkah, what do you do first? Rav Omar Sukkah. First Leishev. Okay? Rabbi say there's new Gemara. If you're stuck, tell me. I think with the Shem's help, it's going to go good. It's Kavaldik. It's a very Gishmak Gemara. Rav Omar Rav says Sukkah. First say Leishev. V'achakach Zman. And afterwards, what does Zman mean, Rabbi say? Shechianu. So right on top of Zman, Shechianu, that's helpful. That's Rav. Rav says Sukkah and then say Shechianu. Rabbi say, yes, stay with me, give a focus. Rama Bar Bachana Omar. Rama Bar Bachana says Zman. First say Shechianu, v'achakach Sukkah. And after that, say Leishev.
That's how we switch for them.
Rav Omar, now each one has to explain the reason. Rav Omar Sukkah, Rav says Sukkah first, v'achakach Zman, and afterwards Shechianu. Why? You can make a dash. Chiyuva the obligation of the day. What's the obligation of the day? Sukkah. That's what we're in the you do the mitzvah sukkah. Chiyuva diyom, the obligation of the day adif takes precedence or comes first. Chiyuva diyom adif. So I have two things I have to make in front of me. One is I have to make leisha b'sukkah, and one is a shechianu. The chiyuva of the day, which is a sukkah, takes precedence over shechianu. I just want to point out when the Farshim ask how come shechianu is not considered chiyuva diyom. You're making it special for sukkahs.
More often.
So they say because shechianu is not exclusive for sukkahs. On Rosh Hashanah you make a shechianu. So shechianu is not what you call chiyuv d'yoyma.
No, but there is no chiyuv. Shechianu, you're...
No, but you have to make a shechianu. The truth is you do have to. But why isn't it called chiyuv d'yoyma? Chiyuv d'yoyma means it's an obligation.
You don't need a sukkah for shechianu.
Oh, just wait. Oh, just wait. 1 second. That's going to come up. This idea. So 1 second. So that's Rav. Rav holds sukkah goes first. Why? Chiyuv d'yoyma. Clark. Oh, just wait.
If it's raining and you don't make kiddush in the sukkah, you still say shechana.
Everyone has, just wait.
Even though the first night of sukkah, you should really do the sukkah.
Yehuda, you don't head here. Wait 1 minute. Yehuda, look at this. Everything's coming up here. Rabba bar Bachana Omar no Zaman. First makes Yachanu Bakach Sukkah. Why? Tadir v'she'enei tadir, frequent and infrequent tadir kaidam. What's frequent whenever you have a clash of two things, or you have two things to do at one time, and one is more frequent than the other, there's a rule. Tadir v'she'enei tadir. Frequent. Tadir means frequent. She'enei tadir. What's more frequent? Leisha b'sukkah or shechianu? Shechianu is more frequent. We make it more often than we make a leisha b'sukkah. So the Gemara says, I think that in frequency comes up at every Yom Tov. So if you add on, you add to get. You're saying if you add, you're saying a guy makes leishiv so many times, you add up the whole year. It may be this is a discussion. It may be that again shechianu just comes up at more intervals throughout the year. Okay.
Usually we go by telling the Shana Torah, but here not.
Tadir trumps it in Yonei D'Yoma?
That's what Rabbi Bar Chana holds. Tadir trumps chiyuv d'yoyma. The precedence given to chiyuv d'yoyma.
But we're saying that this shechianu is the same shechianu as holy the Yom Tov.
Yes.
It's not like a new shechianu for sukkahs.
Right.
It's
the same.
It has to be the same. It has to be the same.
If not, then it'll be an exclusive, right?
If we're counting up the shechianu, so we're saying all shechianus that we make Yom Tovim count towards the same score.
Yes. Rabbi Yaakov, we just started a brand new Gemara on the 2 dots on Nun Vavam and Aleph, where it says.
Could you say though that the sukkah has to come first because the mitzvah is what is
I know.
Activates the shechianu.
Just wait. So I know. Well, just because you asked it, because you
activate. That's like a regular word.
Activates the shechianu.
In Lumbus.
Well, the Yom Tov of Sukkot activates it.
Just wait.
But the Sukkot is the.
Just Rabbi say. Hold on, Rabbi say. Everybody, this Rabbi say. That's why. Listen closely. Listen, Chevra. Listen, Shua.
Happens to be this would be the only Yom Tov that would be chal. So
1 minute.
The rule by all Yom Tov is that the Yom Tov activates shechianu.
So just wait.
Very into the activation. Right
So
now.
just wait 1 minute. So Rabbi said, listen.
Officially, you have Shua.
So you ready? Look, Rabbi said in the Gemara. You have to get this good, Rabbi. Look at this. Itmar Rav Omar Rav says, but 2 dots of Yaakov. Sukkah, you make the bracha of leishiv achach zman and then shechianu. Rav Bar Chana Omar zman shechianu v'achach sukkah, and afterwards you make leishiv sukkah. Rav Omar sukkah v'achach zman chiyuv d'yoyma, the obligation of the day, which is what? Which is leishiv, which is sukkah. Adif, it takes precedence. Rabbi Bar Chana Omar, no, Zman, Shechianu, V'achach Sukkah. Why? Tadir, what's frequent, V'she'enei Tadir, Tadir Kaidem. So what's frequent takes precedence over the Chiyuv D'Yayma. So Rabbi Sai, here we go. Lema, let us suggest that Rav and Bar Chana, who were Amay Ro'im, they came after the Tanam, Beplukta, they're arguing the same, the Beisham Beis Hillel, the same as Beisham Beis Hillel who came before them. Meaning the machlekes that we find later on really has roots and really can be traced to another machlekes between Beisham and Beis Hillel. It's famous Gemaras, Rabbi say, just so famous, just to read these sugyas that come up here. It's a Gemara in Brachas and Psachim. Here we go. Look at this. Kamifri, they're arguing in. Meaning the argument, the Beisham Beishamai Beisil Kimifgi. That Rav and Rabbi Barchana, the Nekudas HaMachlekas, their point of argue, what do you call it? What's the Nekudas HaMachlekas? The root of the Machlekas is really something we find in between Beisham and Hillel. And the Gemara will suggest it. The Gemara will say, no, it's not necessarily compared. The Tana Rabbanan, Rabbanan learned. Here we go. Devarim, the difference is Shebein Beishamai uBeishillel b'Seuda, by a Suda, and right on top of the word Suda, Friday night. This is where Beishamai and Beishillel have differences when it comes to the Friday night Kiddush, Suda. This is very interesting. Beishamai says, Mevarich al hayoim, make Kiddush. On top of the word hayoim, say Kiddush.
Mekadesh Shabbos.
Right, Mekadesh Shabbos. That's even better, Meir. You're saying good. Kiddush, not to be confused with the Hagafen. We want to make sure Mekadesh Shabbos. Mevarich al hayoim means Mekadesh Shabbos. You're sanctifying the day. V'achakach Mevarich al hayayin. And afterwards make Bar Priya Gofen. We flip it around, right? We know we say Baruch Hashem Bar Priya Gofen.
It's interesting because we do the opposite by Sukkah.
Oh, Beisil says no. Mevarich al hayayin. First make a Bar Priya Gofen. V'achakach Mevarich al hayayin. And after that say what? Mekadesh Shabbos. Watch this, Rabbi Say. Here we go. Beishamai says Mevarich al hayoim. Make the bracha on Mekadesh Shabbos. Mevarich al hayoim. V'achach mevarich al hayayin. Make the bracha on Shabbos. And then make the bracha on the wine. Here's where Reb Shua comes in. Shahayoim. Because the Kiddush of Shabbos. Shahayoim. You have to have this in. The Kiddush of Shabbos. Goyreim.
Use activate.
Activates.
That's all the activation.
Well, a drop and a tweaker drop. Goyim causes liyayin sheyavoy to say the hagafen. The kiddush hagafen is only said because you're saying kiddush. If you wouldn't say kiddush, there's no mitzvah to say hagafen. You don't get up there. If I forgot, I never sit in front of me. I don't know how to say kiddush. Would I just say Baruch Hashem Baruch hagafen? No.
So you're not. It's not because you're sanctifying Shabbos, because it happens to be Shabbos. So you're making.
Because I'm making kiddush. So if the Chacham said you're making kiddush, say it on a cup of wine. You make whenever you and the same would apply there, by the way. You say good. The same would apply that you'd also take precedence. Exactly. Rabbi say you're supposed to make kiddush. Chacham came along and said you're making kiddush. We have it in the pasuk Zachreu al hayayin. Say it over wine. When you bench, you hold a cup of wine. Why do you hold a cup of wine when you bench? Why do you do that? Because whenever you do something on a cup of wine, you're elevating whatever you're doing. You're benching, you're making benching more sanctified by doing it on wine. So you're making kiddush. So what caused the wine to come? Kiddush. So shayoim, the kiddush of Shabbos, goyim liyayin sheyavoy. It caused the wine to. It caused the Gofen. So therefore, good. Now you ready? Put a comma. Good. So far, so good. Put a comma, and right on top, and now on top of the comma. This is the first time I said that. On top of the comma, right? Also, another reason. Also, funny, right? Also, ukvar kiddush hayoim. The Shabbos came in already. Shabbos automatically comes in. V'dain yayin lo yavoy. And wine wasn't yet brought. Meaning automatically Shabbos comes first. Boom, as soon as 6:53, as soon as 4:32 comes, Shabbos comes. Now you bring wine. Shabbos comes in automatically.
You have to accept Shabbos upon yourself.
You don't have, no, but you know, meaning once it's Shabbos, you're supposed to accept Shabbos upon yourself. But if you don't accept Shabbos, it's holy.
What happens if I don't accept Shabbos? Then? It's still Shabbos.
Oh, it's still Shabbos. Right. No, you guy can't drive to school. I wasn't become Shabbos yet. Yeah. It's 4:50, you know. What?
I'm not doing it. I'm not ready.
Oh no, but so Yaakov, you're saying good, but the way it's put, I think Rashi says it here is that the day comes in Mamela automatically. You don't do anything. You can't stop it. It's not up to you. It comes in automatically. Now you have a chiyuv to go bring the wine. So what activated what? Shabbos came automatically and activated the need for Kiddush.
Does your Kiddush start once you mention Shabbos, let's say during Maariv?
No.
I thought your Chiv Kid.
No, you have to make Kiddush that night. You have to make Kiddush that night. So Shabbos came in, boom. Shabbos triggered the need for Kiddush. Is that cool? Shabbos triggers the need for Kiddush.
We should make it before
I think
that.
triggers a little better.
That's
than
a lot of people have
No,
to
but the
mix
Suda-
with
no,
that.
but the
go
Suda-
to have a chaim
It's only-
before,
Before, yeah, but they don't make
But
Kiddush.
the Suda-
That
But they
yeah.
don't make Kiddush though. Even
There
if
was
it's
always a
Shabbos.
reasoning for
It's
that,
not,
right?
what? It's not the Suda.
So
The
even if
Suda-
it's Shabbos already, they don't make Kiddush if they have a Chaim before a couple of Shabbos.
That you should know is another shaila of happening when you had a regular chaim.
It's only one, two.
What's the problem with davening when you had a l'chaim?
You don't really see.
It's only one.
Well, I don't know. I get sidetracked. Now, not mission around sugis. Not my sugi. Yeah. Ask. Yeah.
Coffee and
Yeah.
cakes.
Ask. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're just gonna finish up, and tomorrow Rabbi Sai Ubay Silaim, we gotta stop already. Ubay Silaim, man, watches Rabbi Sai. Look at this. Look at this. You ready? You ready, Chevra? Ubay Silaim says.
Nah.
Beisol Aymisol says, Mavarch Alayayin. Make a brach on the Berber Gofen. V'achach Mavarch Alayoim. And then say Kiddush. Why? Shahayayin. Goyrem. Yayin causes, or I wrote causes that, slash allows. Yayin allows you, the Kiddusha Shati Amar, the Kiddush to be said. You need to say Kiddush on the wine also. It goes both ways. Because you
But if
you
someone
need
doesn't
it
have
what?
wine,
You can just say the bracha mekadosh
Yeah, yeah,
Shabbos if you
yeah.
don't have wine.
Yeah,
No, you can't do that.
But you say the shul. You say the shul. You say the
Oh, but
Shabbos
you
already.
can't the Kiddush of Friday night. If you don't have wine, you can't say it.
Do it on challah.
So then say would be by challah. By the way, the challah would come
Yeah,
first.
you need something.
You're right. No, you're saying good. They point out
if
the Rishonim say challah. Yeah. You don't get up to say no. Don't say Kiddush.
can't-
You have to rely on the
You're not
Kiddush.
Yaitzer, you're not Yaitzer, you said-
No, you'll have to rely on the Kiddush you said during davening. Wait.
Say milk.
Hold on 1 second. Shayayin Gairim. Hold on. Boy, say 1 minute. Shayayin Gairim like Kiddusha Shati Omer. Yayin is what causes or allows the Kiddush to be said. That's one reason. And now this is the clincher right here. Dova Acher, another reason. The Misila says that the Bar Pirkam comes first. The Birchas Hayayin Tedira, Bar Pirkam is frequent. Ubirchas Hayayin Eine Tedira. Make a dash. Tadir v'shene tadir koydem. Tomorrow, by say we're going to say that Rav who didn't hold up Tadir must go like Beishamai that the Chayvas Hayayim comes before Tadir, and Rav Barachana that says Tadir comes by Sukkah. You say Shachianu because it's Tadir. He goes like Beisilal, and then the Gemara is going to reject it. So by say as much as we could tomorrow, let's have a good shir on time as much as we could because we're mamish over Gemara. If we get in the Gemara, it's Gamal.